What up, barflies? You already know who it is. It's BigDan, Rodan. I'm coming to you live from the 215, your comic book connoisseur, your sommelier of sci-fi and superheroes, here to welcome you to the Cellar. That's right. Underneath the bar is where we come and talk about comic books, because that's what I want to do. And so in order for me to do that, I want to make sure that this is first a safe space for both newcomers and initiate alike. And in order for that to be the case, I have to my approach on this has to be from a direction of positivity. Whether you like it or not, we can talk about it in the comments. You can reach out to me directly. You can tell me in my DMs you don't like it. That's fine. But I won't be going forward. I won't be taking the initiative to just give you a negative take on things that I may feel very biased towards, or vice versa. It's not fair to you guys, especially if there's something that you genuinely like and I'm over here just hating on it for no reason. Or not no reason, but hating on it just because I don't get it or it doesn't appeal to me, right? In order to be a connoisseur or a sommelier, my palate or reading in order to be a connoisseur or a sommelier, the idea is that you kind of have a universal palate and you can identify what someone else might like. And that's how I want to approach this. And given the space of comic book reviewers and creators that kind of play in this sandbox, I don't want to be toxic in that, add to the toxicity that is sometimes just for clout. That's not me. I want to be able to create a space for those who want to just sit and talk about them. We can debate. I'm not saying we won't lively debate about the fact that, Thor is better than Superman, or that Batman is not a superhero. These are things that we will talk about because that's kind of just the lay of the land. But what I really want to do is make sure that I'm highlighting what I believe to be good picks for the week. And if you like them, great. If you don't like them, hopefully I find something that's up your alley. And with that being said, let's jump right in. Reviewing June 14th week's of comic book drops that I personally picked up. We're going to start with number one for me from Image, Void Rivals. I don't know how in love with it I am, as much as I am in love with the fact that Robert Kirkman is writing for it. And spoiler alert, don't move past this point if you don't want spoilers, but this comic is tied into the Energon universe. That means G.I. Joe and Transformers will be coming under the helm of Image Comics to be published, and Void Rivals is kind of like a soft kickoff to or soft jumpstart to what they're trying to do with that universe. And you'll see what I mean if you pick it up and read it. It is a very interesting cameo. That's all I can say. If I had to rate it, I'd give it 4 out of 5 stars. But a strong pick from Image Comics this past week. Following up with my Marvel pick, Wolverine issue 34. Benjamin Percy is doing a great job of following through with this revenge tale for Wolverine. And while that in and of itself is not a new idea for Wolverine, this feels very cohesive to the X-Men universe that Hickman has created, on top of establishing Beast as an antagonist that we've all kind of expected him to be. Beast has made so many mistakes in the past of trying to do what's best and then kind of being apologetic for it. This Beast is like, I'm done apologizing. This is on me. You either get with the program or I'll apologize later. And Wolverine's like, nah, you used me. I'm gonna get back. And while there's not a slew of supporting cast, you do see Maverick lending Wolverine a hand and making sure he gets his revenge. And like I said, I'm not going to spoil it here, but you feel free to read it. I think these have been really good issues writing for Wolverine since his, I don't even know what resurrection this is. Like, he has come back to life so many times now, it's not important. But I do want to see what they do with Hank after after Wolverine catches up to him and really closes this out. So feel free to check it out. If I had to rate it, I'd say it's about a 3.5 out of 5 for me. But other picks out of this week from Marvel didn't seem as strong. So do with that information what you will. But I enjoyed it. I do want to see what happens, and I do want to see how this finishes. So that's why it's my pick for this week. And so my DC pick for this week is a little different. Mind you, anyone who knows me, I always have to clarify, I am not a Batman fan. I'm wearing a shirt, Batman logo, but I'm not a Batman. There's no way. I'm not helping my case here.
He's a liar.
But Batman Incorporated issue 9 is just doing a very interesting job of explaining how vigilantes under the banner of Batman don't necessarily know what they're doing, but have to abide by the rules of how Batman orchestrates himself. And it's this kind of give and take of you can't violate Batman's rules or you're out. On top of now, the Joker Incorporated are kind of messing with how they want to approach this. And you'll see what I mean if you pick it up. But if I could say anything about this, I'd prefer reading Batman Incorporated over reading a Batman comic. Mainly because we're not dealing with a repetitious Batman beat over and over again, if you feel what I'm saying. Like, most storylines of Batman are, he's just come off of a big battle, he's resting, there's either been some surmountable loss that he's trying to get over, and then there's another orchestration of something else is in the wheels for Gotham, and Gotham is once again the chosen city, and Batman has to be 2 steps behind in the writing, but still be Batman with prep. So it seems muddy when reading a Batman story, but I don't feel that way when I'm reading the Batman Incorporated stories. So do with that information what you will. But those are my 3 picks. Just to wrap up, we have Void Rivals from Image, issue number 1, Wolverine 34 from Marvel, and Batman Incorporated issue 9. I would say pick them up. But if you have any suggestions for me of things that I should read that are not necessarily showing right here, let me know. And now we jump to my favorite part of the Cellar, where we talk about what's down the barrel. So my pick for this week is going to be Why the Last Man, written by Brian K. Vaughan. It's an ongoing series from the year 2002 to 2008, and the story follows Yurik, who is obviously the last living man or character with a Y chromosome, along with his companion monkey. And you follow them through him trying to, one, figure out why he's alive and why he survived while every other living mammal with a Y chromosome has died mysteriously. And then on top of that, you still deal with politics and gender issues and sexuality and all these things. All these elements kind of pop up throughout the issues in that story. And to keep it very brief without giving away too much of the story, because I still believe it's one that people should read if you're interested in a non non-capes story. And when I say non-capes, I mean like superheroes and over-the-top action. There's that. There is some action sequences in the series, obviously, but you're really getting a very well thought out story by reading Y the Last Man. And so my suggestion to you would be to read it. It almost seems like it toes the line of sci-fi, and some would even argue that it's just flat out sci-fi, but very post-apocalyptic. And the supporting characters of those with X chromosomes are very strong and very well written, and it doesn't seem like any of them were written tone deaf. And this is coming from a perspective of someone who may not necessarily know if it's tone deaf or not. So read it with others, read it by yourself. It doesn't necessarily, I won't say that it mirrors the world that we're in now, but I still think there's a level of relevancy to the book that, you know, would say that is enjoyable. So to pose the question to you and ask the question of myself, does it still hold up? Was it a good year? In my opinion, I think so. I think from 2002 to 2008, it's a total of 60 issues. It's very well written, in my opinion, and I would suggest strongly to go read it. You can find the collected versions and the trade paperbacks on Amazon and in comic book shops. So if you have the opportunity to do it, I say go ahead and take the shot. But we've reached the end of the Cellar. I hope to see you next week, and I hope to be able to record this and have it ready for you next week. But until then, as I always like to say, y'all have a blessed night. Peace.